So you've been recently started on metformin, or maybe you've been taking metformin for years. Let's just talk about it. Because this is one of those medications that a lot of people are on but don't fully understand what it's doing or how to think about it long term. I'm Dr. Lindsay Carlson. I'm a board certified ambulatory care clinical pharmacy specialist, metabolic health guru, and I've been working with patients on medications like these for over 15 plus years. And this is the conversation I wish I could have with every single one of you that is on metformin. We will start with what metformin actually does. Most of its effects are in your liver. It helps reduce how much glucose your liver is putting out into your bloodstream. And for a lot of people, especially those with insulin resistance, that's very helpful. It also activates something called AMPK, which is involved in how your body uses energy and responds to insulin. You'll hear people say that this mimics fasting or supports your longevity pathways. Both very good things. There's some truth to that, but in real life, here's how I want you to think about it. It's supporting a metabolism that's under stress. It's not necessarily correcting the underlying reason that your metabolism became dysregulated in the first place. And this is the part I care about the most. Metformin can be a really helpful tool, but I think of it as a bridge, not necessarily the end goal. If you're on it, it usually means your body needs support right now. Your insulin is likely elevated, your glucose regulation is not where it should be, and your cells aren't responding efficiently to signals. So metformin can help stabilize all of that. But the bigger goal is to use that stability to actually improve the underlying metabolic environment, to restore your metabolic flexibility, to get your body back to a place where it can regulate blood sugar and insulin more effectively on its own. Now, one thing that is not talked about enough, though, when you're started on metformin, is that it can deplete your vitamin B12. And this is very common with long-term use. Low B12 can show up as things like fatigue, brain fog, numbness, tingling, even mood changes. And I've seen patients just assume that this is aging or part of the overall condition, when actually it's something we can correct. So if you are on metformin, make sure you're getting your B12 checked at least yearly. And if you're supplementing, I would recommend using the active form of B12, which is methylcobalamin. Now, let's talk about another issue that most people who are on metformin kind of already know about, and that's the GI issues. This is the number one reason why people stop metformin. But I want to give you a slightly different way to think about it. So metformin doesn't just work on your liver, it actually works in your gut too. It changes your microbiome for the better, so those bacteria in your gut. And for some people, that's part of how it really improves your blood sugar and your insulin sensitivity. So when you start it and you're having bloating and loose stools or discomfort, part of that, not all of it, but part of that may actually be your gut adapting to those positive changes. Now, that doesn't mean you should suffer through that, but it does explain why some people notice that those symptoms improve over time as their body adjusts to the metformin. That said, if it is severe or it's not improving, we still need to address it. So that's where we start with a low dose and we slowly increase. We take it with food, actually with the meal. And if needed, we switch from the immediate release to the extended release version, which is much better tolerated. Now, here's where I'm going to shift the conversation a little, though, because most people who end up on metformin are there for the same reason, and that's chronic elevated insulin. Not just high blood sugar, high insulin. And when insulin is high, your body is being signaled to store, so we're in storage mode, not burn. And that comes from years of overeating or frequent eating of processed carbohydrates, poor sleep, stress, and metabolism that's lost its ability to switch between fuel sources. So a medication doesn't necessarily reverse that by itself. You change that by changing the environment your body is operating in. And this is the encouraging part. The same pathways that metformin is helping support, you can also influence through your daily habits, through how you eat, when you eat, how often you eat, through movement. All of this can improve your insulin sensitivity and can teach your body how to use fat for fuel, so switching into the metabolic state of ketosis. That's metabolic flexibility. Metformin can support you while you're working on that, but it doesn't replace that process. So if you're on metformin and you're thinking, okay, I actually want to improve this, get to the root cause, here's where I would start. First, Get your fasting insulin checked. Most people do not know what their fasting insulin is. They just know their A1C and their blood sugars. We need a fasting insulin because this will tell you what's really going on metabolically. And for many people, it is actually elevated way before their A1C is. So before we even talk about things like fasting, we really should start by knowing what your insulin is. Changing your diet is a big part of fixing this, reducing processed carbohydrates, increasing your healthy fats, getting adequate protein. The order in which you eat your food and meal timing can also have an effect, movement as well. Yes, fasting can be a powerful tool too, but it's not always the first step for everyone if insulin is very elevated. Some people actually struggle with fasting until that metabolic environment starts to improve. What we're really working toward is metabolic flexibility, the ability to switch between glucose and carbohydrates. Your body's ability to do this is dependent on being able to flip that switch. That's the goal. Metformin can support that process, but you're the one who actually rebuilds it. Here's what I want you to take from this. Metformin can be a helpful tool, but it works best when it's part of a bigger picture. Your body was designed to regulate this, and when you give it the right environment, it certainly can. Use the support, but build the system. If this was helpful, go ahead and subscribe because I make videos like this every week. The metabolic conversations that your doctor doesn't have time for necessarily. That's what this channel is for. I'm Dr. Lindsay Carlson, and I will see you on the next one.